Starting off with number 10, obviously the royal affair. This one is no big secret. The Princess of Wales was very much aware of the extramarital affair Charles and Camilla were having, but the couple still tried their hardest to conceal this relationship from Diana and the rest of the world. Camilla, Prince Charles's mistress, was regarded as a villain long before Princess Diana and Charles filed for divorce. Additionally, she was resented up until the Princess of Wales' untimely passing in 97. Camilla's life truly changed in the days following the tragic incident. The Duchess of Cornwall was not specifically held accountable for Princess Diana's misfortune. After Diana's passing in a Paris car accident, they did, however, discover a newfound hatred for her greatest foe. Because of the hatred, Camilla had to hide for months as the situation escalated. Number 9, the palace staff. Even Prince Charles's cleaning staff once kept his affair with Camilla a secret from Princess Diana, or at the very least, they tried. The Prince of Wales' affair with the Duchess of Cornwall, which occurred while Charles was married to Princess Diana, is well known to royal family members and followers. It is safe to assume that some members of the royal family are dissatisfied with the fact that their affair is getting screen time on Netflix's The Crown Season 4, making it by far one of the biggest royal relationship scandals. In a well-known interview with News of the World in 1995, the prince's valet, Ken Stronach, shared shocking details about Charles's affair. He was even fired because of his breach of confidentiality. Stronach claimed at the time that he scrubbed grass stains from Charles's pajamas after the prince would sneak out of bed in the middle of the night to meet with Camilla. According to what he told the newspaper, Prince Charles made love to Camilla Parker Bowles in the bushes of his High Grove mansion while Princess Diana slept inside. He was reckless and took a significant risk, but he doesn't see the lady in any way. A source claimed there was mud and muck everywhere following Charles's midnight romps. It was obvious that they had been working outside. Charles even made sure his staff made his bed look like he had slept there by ruffling it up. It was very elaborate, but no one was fooled by it. The valet claimed he had become ill as a result of the strain of keeping Charles's secrets. He stated to the newspaper at the time, "We've all been told not to speak to anyone about anything throughout his time with Charles. I became extremely ill as a result of the strain of keeping his secrets." Even though Prince Charles has admitted to the affair and married Duchess Camilla, it's clear that the firm still doesn't like to talk about this royal stuff. Number 8, the royal family versus Camilla. Even though Charles and Camilla's relationship was very serious, Camilla was viewed negatively by the royals, but Diana was received with open arms. Beadle Smith claims that Charles has always treated Camilla, who was Charles's age at the time, as an equal rather than an idol from the beginning. However, Camilla was not wanted by the royal family as its princess. For one thing, she was thought to be an experienced woman, which made her a no-go for the royal family when it came to finding Prince Charles a wife. In addition, she was not thought to be sufficiently aristocratic to be a princess. On the other hand, the royal family adored Diana. Diana was thought to be a good match for Charles by the Queen. She was very much a hit with the royal family, and they really warmed to her. Diana did a great job of modeling what she thought it would be like to be a princess and worked extremely hard to gain respect. Naturally, those viewpoints spread throughout the community, further complicating the already difficult situation. It is no secret or surprise that Diana's two sons never truly accepted Camilla once Charles brought her into the family, and although William might be less vocal about his opinion on her, especially as the future king, Prince Harry never held back his feelings about the Queen Consort. Prince Harry stated that Camilla was slowly but eventually embraced by the Queen and the royal family as King Charles's person. Camilla was long portrayed as the notorious third member of Princess Diana and then Prince Charles's marriage. However, she faces criticism once more, resembling the evil stepmother from fairy tales. In Memoir Spare, Prince Harry says that she was trying to get rid of her other women reputation and be seen as a legitimate royal wife by bargaining with the British tabloid media at his expense. Harry explained that after marrying Prince Charles in 2005, Camilla sought a revamp and was dubbed the villain by the British press. Because of the connection she was making within the press, that made her dangerous, he stated. Additionally, there was an unmistakable remarkable willingness on both sides to exchange information. Additionally, given that she was on her way to becoming Queen's consort and that she came from a family that was structured in a hierarchical manner, there were bound to be people or bodies discarded in the open. He went on to say, "I see someone who married into this institution and has done everything in her power to improve her own image and reputation for her own sake. I can't comprehend why." Although Spare may show otherwise, Prince Harry has so far included Camilla in the fractured, self-serving family she married into, rather than casting her as a glaring villain in the soap opera saga. On to number 7, unfit for the King of England. Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla Parker first met in the early 1970s. The prince fell in love right away after they were introduced by friends. Penny Juror, a royal biographer, wrote in The Duchess was not in any way overawed by him, not fawning or sycophantic. Even though they shared a strong bond, Camilla accepted the proposal from her on and off boyfriend Andrew Parker Bowles after the prince was sent off with the Royal Navy in 1973. Even if things had turned out well for the two of them, the palace didn't think Camilla would make a good fit for the king. She did not come from an aristocratic family, which was very important back then. Number 6, not the Queen's choice. It is not a secret that the extramarital affair between Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla rocked the crown to its foundation and put the final nail in the coffin of Princess Diana and Prince Charles's strained marriage. Queen Elizabeth, the prince's mother, was furious more than anyone else. Even the Duchess was not allowed to enter the palace for some time. They have overcome Becker's Brook and the chair and all kinds of other terrible obstacles at the reception for the Duchess and Prince. They have prevailed and the Queen was extremely proud of them and wished them well. On to number 5, friendly with the mistress. Diana got along with Camilla before she realized that her fiancé was in love with another woman. After the royal wedding, she even anticipated that she would be part of her social circle. Diana, on the other hand, realized before she and Charles got married that despite the fact that she was married at the time, he still had a torch for his former partner. When she saw Camilla in the church on her wedding day, Princess Diana said she wondered if she was making a mistake. "So as I was walking down the aisle, I saw her son Tom standing on a chair and Camilla in her pale gray pillbox hat." Diana told biographer Andrew Morton, "You know, vivid memory to this day." Number 4, the worst kept secret. Diana and Charles split up in 92, got a divorce in 96 after a publicly disastrous marriage. His open affair with Camilla, which was the monarchy's worst kept secret, was one of their main disagreements. In the infamous Panorama interview, Diana explained to Martin Bashir, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a little crowded." While still married, Diana and Charles split up and started seeing other people. Diana had a number of relationships, including with heart surgeon Hasnat Khan, and later the man she was dating when she passed away, Dodi Al-Fayed. In the meantime, Charles remained with Camilla. The affair of Prince Charles is known to the general public. However, he and Camilla made an effort to keep the relationship a secret by attending and leaving separate events. Charles was hard at work, making big plans for Camilla's 50th birthday party, which would also be their first date. Then something went wrong, and we all know how that story ended up. On to number 3, the unwelcome mistress. The British public's acceptance of Camilla as Charles's lover was put on hold after Diana's passing. Even though it seemed illogical, Diana's passing away made Camilla a supervillain in the royal saga. She was compelled to go into hiding for months after her party was postponed. OK Magazine reported that royal correspondent Judy Wade stated shortly after Diana's passing away, "The prince must keep a safe distance from Camilla." She continued, "He'll be toast if Camilla is seen anywhere near his home in the next 6 months. He needs to keep his distance from her." Royalty Magazine editor Bob Houston concurred, stating, "There is absolutely no chance of Charles marrying Camilla now. To even consider it, he would have to be the stupidest fool in the world." His words, not mine. But fast forward to now, Camilla has successfully relaunched herself over time as one of the firm's hardest working royals. In a significant vote of confidence, the late queen had decided that Camilla would become queen consort. This was a result that was far from certain, and it would have seemed impossible in the days of Diana's explosive interviews and the tapes of tampons. In contrast to Prince Harry and Meghan, Camilla is frequently praised for her lifetime of quietness, which is a virtue in the royal ecosystem, but odd head elsewhere. Camilla was not seen in public for 8 months following the tragedy due to Diana's passing away and the subsequent backlash. For a family wedding, she returned for the first time. On to number 2, revealing the big secret. Charles and Camilla probably would have married much earlier if Diana had survived and gotten married as expected. Instead, for a number of years, they kept their relationship under wraps and out of the public eye. In 2004, the Prince of Wales tied the knot with his longtime partner. She chose not to style her name as the Princess of Wales, Diana's former title, even though she technically could have done so out of respect for her. And on to number 1, the juiciest one, confrontation. According to recordings from National Geographic that have been archived, Princess Diana felt that she had to give her husband's mistress a piece of her mind after being advised by friends to ignore suspicions of an affair between her husband Prince Charles and longtime friend Camilla. Prince Charles and Diana appeared to have been aware of what they were getting themselves into when they approached Camilla about the affair. When Diana asked Camilla to spend some time alone, Camilla and Prince Charles were chatting with another friend downstairs. The recording claims that Diana recalled Charles hurriedly running upstairs to inquire about her plans, discovered the real explanation for Charles's decision not to marry Camilla in the first place. Diana told Camilla boldly, "I'd just like you to know that I know exactly what is going on," despite the Princess of Wales' claim that she was terrified of Camilla. By claiming that she had no idea what Diana was talking about, Camilla attempted to refute the allegation. Diana recalled Camilla saying that she had all the men in the world and everything she could ever want. Diana replied to Camilla, "I want my husband," when she was asked what else she could want. These little known details about Prince Charles and Princess Diana's wedding should not be missed. Strangely, Diana offered Camilla an apology for getting in the way of her and Charles, but she was still furious. She told Camilla, "I do know what is going on. Please don't treat me like a fool." Let's start off with number 10. Now that King Charles is living a king-size life, how can we pretend there aren't regal secrets he's keeping from us? After inheriting the properties from his mother, Queen Elizabeth, Charles has been getting a lot more attention, and obviously we're gonna dig into the English wealth and their secrets. For a regular British citizen, any inheritance over $380,000 is taxed 40%. But King Charles doesn't have to pay anything on properties, jewels, and investments that probably are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Whatever happened to eating the rich? The royal treatment is getting out of hand. Having all this money and privilege on top of not having to pay taxes, every day this family makes me wonder why I wasn't born a royal. But anyway, according to the British government, the monarchy as an institution needs sufficient private resources to enable it to continue to perform its traditional role in national life and to have a degree of financial independence from the government of the day. Am I the only one who feels like the British government is sucking up to the royals? Or is everyone in the UK in some trance? Because considering this extremely problematic family and their history, how are they getting away with all of this? It has to be a trance, right? Maybe that's what they're hiding from us. They might not even be royal. Maybe they just set up a whole castle and tranced the whole country just so they don't have to pay taxes. That's some brilliant work. The same document explains that the British Crown is also not legally liable for income tax or capital gains tax. Personally, I think the British people should overthrow the throne at this point because taxes shouldn't be reserved for regular citizens, but that's just me. Or what if they flipped and only taxed the extremely rich people? On to number 9, hiding details about their wealth. The royal family is under few requirements to disclose details of its wealth, but all I'm gonna say is if you want to find out, it's not too difficult to go all Sherlock Holmes on the family. The family's communications with the government are exempt from freedom of information requests. Their official papers are kept secret by Britain's National Archives for at least 50 years. The lack of transparency has led anti-monarchy groups, including the Republic, to call the monarchy an unaccountable public institution that has the power, secrecy, and influence to willfully abuse its position. Without a change, many details of the royal family's private wealth may never be known. Facts about the Duchy of Lancaster's offshore investments were leaked back in 2017. Those detailed roughly $13 million in offshore accounts. I wonder what else can be revealed if more docs were suddenly leaked. Seriously, we need some investigative work done on this family. Other reports have suggested questionable foreign dealings or arrangements. King Charles was accused of offering to help secure a knighthood for a Saudi national in response to a donation to his charitable foundation. Representatives of Charles denied any impropriety, but still sounds a little suspicious to me. On to number 8, disruption in the bloodline. Historically speaking, having a claim to the throne has been a big deal. Wars have been fought over who has the most right to rule, and even if it is less significant to everyday people, the royal family takes this very seriously. If they were not the legitimate heirs to the throne for some reason, then they'd be just regular folks who'd have to find a house to rent somewhere. If only. No one questions the legitimacy of the royal family, but there has been some potential for disruption thanks to DNA analysis of a body found in a parking lot. After King Richard III was struck down in battle in 1485, his body was laid to rest at Greyfriars Abbey. But a lot can happen in over 500 years, and the abbey, along with the king, were more or less forgotten, so much that his grave ended up being under an office building's parking lot. Other bodies had been discovered over the years on the property, and it was known to have once been the site of the abbey. During a DNA analysis to confirm his identity, it turned out to be Richard, but listen to this plot twist. The Y chromosomes in the DNA analysis don't match others in the royal line. Who's the imposter? So, quick biology lesson for you guys to help break this down. The maternal line was used to identify the remains of Richard, but if the Y chromosome passed down from the male side doesn't match, it means somewhere in the family line there may have been an affair. Someone at some time gave birth to a child not of the royal line or pretended the child was legit. That is the real English tea of the day. Drop in the comments who you think the imposter child was, because these theories could get interesting. Since we don't know when this affair may have occurred, there's no way to know when it affected the bloodline. So maybe the current royals are the real deal, or maybe they aren't. On to number 7, relative of Dracula. Ever so often, the ruling class gets compared to vampires for their habits of living off the people over whom they rule. So there were likely a few critics of the royal family, and King Charles in particular, who would be delighted to discover that the king is literally related to Dracula. If Hotel Transylvania makes a new movie, I know who they can incorporate into the plot. Or even better, have as a voice actor for a new character. Matter of fact, I should pitch this idea to Sony ASAP. In real life, Bram Stoker is believed to have based his famous vampire in part on Vlad Tepes. 15th century Romanian prince, Vlad earned himself the nickname Impaler due to his penchant for sticking enemies on sharp poles. So the story goes. His bloodlust was legendary enough to make him forever associated with history's greatest vampire. Fast forward to the present, and Prince Charles is a distant relative of the Romanian prince. He's Dracula's great-grandson 16 times removed. Prince Charles was apparently very stoked to learn this and has a soft spot for Transylvania, the region made famous by Dracula. So now I'm gonna have to explore my family tree to see if I'm related to any historic or iconic people. On to number 6, conspiracies. Word on the street is Jack the Ripper, one of history's most notorious assassins, may have been a royal. His identity was never determined, and even to this day, over a century later, people are trying to piece it together. But back in the day, one potential suspect was Prince Albert Victor. What is going on with this family? First Dracula, now Jack the Ripper. This royal family has some explaining to do because it is just getting out of hand. Another theory was that the British royal family wanted specific women taken out because they knew the prince had an illegitimate son. Neither of these theories had much of any evidence to support it, and they appeared nearly a century after the fact. The result is that it's almost entirely unlikely, but still something the royal family is not likely to ever openly address and would rather keep on the down low. Let me know if you think this theory is valid. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right? Number 5, traveling with blood. Celebrities really do the weirdest things ever, and we just accept it because, well, they're celebrities. But traveling with your own bag of blood is just a different level of weird. Even though their reasoning is not the craziest, you have to admit, adding a bag of blood to your travel checklist is just so bloody interesting. In case of emergencies, King Charles and Prince William travel with a sack of their own blood on hand. The royals travel with their physician and a bag of their own home brew in case of an emergency transfusion. For a good portion of her busier years, the Queen was making about one state visit per year, but Prince William was a bit more widely traveled. Blood only has a shelf life of about 42 days after it's been bagged up, so they were probably getting fresh stuff before each and every trip. That's a lot of needlework. I wonder what they would have done if someone had a serious fear of needles. On to number 4, Princess Diana's letter. Paul, one of Diana's former butlers, said that the princess predicted her own passing in a car crash. Apparently, she was so scared 10 months before she passed that she wrote to Paul saying that there was a plot made by a member of the royal family and that her car brakes would be tampered with and she would suffer serious head injuries. And all of this would be so that the Prince of Wales could marry again. The letter she wrote, "I am sitting here at my desk today in October, longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head high. This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for him to marry Camilla, who is nothing but a decoy." So what did they do with this letter? Well, they keep it in a very safe place. Will Charles ever elaborate on this super suspicious letter? Most likely not, but we do need the answers. Number 3, privilege. I mean, that's no secret, but can we talk about King Charles's privilege? Being a rich white man is one thing, but add royal into the mix, and he really was set for life. Becoming king after the late Queen Elizabeth's impressive 70-year reign is definitely a privilege, and King Charles is very careful about his lifestyle and what he chooses to show with us regular folk and what is kept behind closed doors. There's one place that His Majesty can likely be found: on his hands and knees in his personal Highgrove house gardens. The garden at Highgrove really does spring from my heart, and strange as it may seem to some, creating it has been rather like a form of worship, the royal said in 1993. Since purchasing the property surrounding his historic 18th century country house in 1980, Charles has transformed the wilted 900 acres of lawn into a paradise with around 40,000 visitors a year. On to number 2, jealousy. During his marriage to Princess Diana, Charles had his first significant encounter with disapproving public opinion. Archival footage of the couple touring Australia in the new HBO documentary The Princess suggests that he was jealous of how much more popular she was. The real-life Diana confirmed that Charles envied the public's devotion to his wife in her explosive 1995 interview with the BBC's Martin Bashir. The pressure on both of us as a couple with the media was phenomenal and misunderstood by a great many people, she said. We'd be going around Australia, for instance, and all you could hear was, "Oh, she's on the other side." Diana subsequently clarified that the waiting crowds were expressing their disappointment that Charles was closer to them rather than Diana. Someone close to you acting out of jealousy towards you is never fun, and considering he was a future king at the time, I'm sure that hurt his ego even though it shouldn't have. He should have been proud of how publicly accepted his future queen was, but I guess not everyone, even a whole king, likes to see other people winning, right? And finally, number 1, making or costing money. There's one question that many have wondered. Do the royals cost the government money or do they make it money? Well, for one, the royals draw tourist dollars as well as publicity for Britain. In 2017, a valuation company called Brand Finance estimated that the monarch boosted the tourism sector by the equivalent of more than $640 million. And while the sovereign grant has been growing, which means more money for the royals, the Crown Estate provides a huge sum of money to the government. Anti-monarchy groups don't really think the royal family brings in money, a figment of the spin doctor's imagination, they say. These groups might be onto something since they suspect that the monarchy actually costs the country about $400 million a year. McClure, the expert on the royals, has estimated the government's cost to protect the family at well over $100 million annually. Reports in the British press have suggested that King Charles, a conservationist by nature, hopes to slim down the monarchy with fewer senior royals involved in public engagements. He has also talked about opening up more royal properties to the public, a move that could theoretically bring in more revenue. I can see how this might be a smart business move, but I still do think the anti-monarchy groups might be onto something. Up at number 10, using Harry for status. Piers Morgan, a morning show host, has been one of Meghan's most outspoken critics, claiming that when she started dating Harry, she dumped him as a friend. I'm assuming he mixed up friend with acquaintance. In any case, there was a tweet mentioning Harry and Meghan parting ways in January and saying Meghan used him to get to the top. People say that I'm being too harsh on Meghan Markle, however, she broke up with her parents, the majority of her old friends, the royal family, and her family. She additionally split William from Harry. Piers also referred to them as a pair of impulsive, deluded, narcissistic tools. Following their announcement that there would be no further corroboration and zero engagement between them and the 4 UK tabloids, Morgan also forbade Harry and Meghan from being discussed on Good Morning Britain. On to number 9, using Harry for money. The engagement interview between Meghan and Harry was broadcast by numerous networks worldwide. When Sky News in Britain broadcasted live, comments began to pour in, and not all of them wished the couple well. In point of fact, numerous insults were leveled against Meghan, accusing her of being in it for the money. One person even wrote she sees British pound signs, while another wrote she won the lottery. According to the Daily Mail, when Meghan and Harry announced the name and details of their new foundation, they hadn't finished registering for their website, so someone else took it. Additionally, that individual did something awful. The Sussexes provided the Telegraph with a few specifics regarding the foundation. The Greek word for source of action, arch, came before Sussex Royal. We were inspired to name our son after this concept for the charitable organization we hoped to establish one day. An obvious insult to Meghan was the fact that a hacker registered archwellfoundation.com and redirected it to a YouTube video of Kanye West's Gold Digger. Number 8, Mad Meghan. Meghan and Harry's whirlwind romance has been in the spotlight pretty much since they got together. With fans and haters watching their every move, this couple is used to getting lots of attention whether they like it or not. When Harry got with Meghan, people started watching Meghan like a hawk, dissecting her every move. Naturally, when you're part of the royals, people are going to be more inclined to know what you're like. As someone part of the royal family, displaying strong emotions is not necessarily expected, especially in a public setting. After being invited as a guest speaker at the Power of Women charity benefit, Meghan seemed irritated after pictures of her were published where she was seen lashing out at an employee in the parking garage. The pictures published in the Daily Mail show her looking pretty ticked off while pointing directly at someone. Some believe she was scolding one of her employees, while others say she was letting a parking attendant have it. As a person, I feel like keeping your cool in inconvenient situations is pretty important, but as a royal, I think Meghan should have been a little more mindful of her position and the amount of eyes on her. But hey, there's always more to a story, right? And it's hard to figure out with pictures out of context. Number 7, Mad Meghan Part 2. Meghan was accused of abrasive behavior towards staff members and diplomats, according to an explosive royal biography. Looking back at the Sussexes' visit to Sydney, Australia, where they received an amazing reception, Bauer writes, Meghan was allegedly abrasive towards her 4 female staff and even towards the local British diplomats. According to one report, Meghan allegedly threw a cup of tea into the air. Not the tea. He continued by saying that her anger may have been partly fueled by Harry. Every night he trawled social media searching for snide comments on the internet. I don't know why they would do that. Every morning he and Meghan turned on their phones to surf the internet. That doesn't sound very healthy to me. Australia, as covered in past videos, didn't seem to be as fun as the couple may have hoped, and it's been reported they were feeling down in the down under. Good one, right? Number 6, secret studies. She studied in secret for a degree in international relations despite warnings about how her studies would be perceived by the royal family. But she was determined to prove her critics wrong and use her newfound knowledge for good. After graduating with distinction, she quickly rose in the ranks of governmental and diplomatic circles. Eventually, she became one of the most influential people in international affairs and a beloved figure around the world. Well, her legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. Today, when asked about her success, she simply shrugs it off. My success? She laughs. I just followed my heart and never gave up like any true princess would do. Indeed, that same determination still serves her well today as she continues to make an impact on the global stage. What a true fairy tale ending. The princess rise from adversity to become not only an international leader, but an inspiration too. Number 5, family dispute. Despite Harry's turbulent past, Meghan conceals a lot of the drama surrounding her own family and former friends. Her older half-brother Thomas Markle Jr. has stated that he is at his lowest point in life, and that his sister's fame has cost him his job in his home. I don't know how the two relate, but alright. After being evicted from his rental home in Grants Pass, Oregon, Markle Jr. is now living in a small hotel room with his fiancée, her son, and their 2 dogs. In an interview with The Sun, Markle Jr. stated that being referred to as Meghan's crazy brother has prevented him from finding a new residence or a job. Additionally, he attributed his demise to his sister's global fame. Sounds like a bum not taking accountability to me. In the past, the half-siblings have voiced their disapproval of Meghan in the media and asserted that she avoids family and friends when she believes they are of no use to her. Ouch. The relationship between Markle Jr. and his sister has been difficult for some time. Samantha and Markle Jr. have been called opportunists by Meghan's fans who want to profit from her fame. Honestly, it sounds like it. However, Markle Jr. claims that he's been living under a microscope ever since Meghan's engagement to Prince Harry in 2017, and that the negative attention brought on by his sister's fame has prevented him from finding employment or a new place to live. Despite the strained relationship between Meghan and her half-siblings, it is evident that the Duchess of Sussex's fame has had an impact on their lives and drawn both positive and negative attention to them. While Meghan, her husband, and their children reside in opulence in their new Montecito home, her brother is struggling to survive and locate a stable home. It's unknown whether Meghan and her half-siblings will ever reconcile and mend their relationship. In the new book, The Diary of Princess Pushy's Sister Part 1 by Samantha Markle, Meghan Markle's half-sister makes some controversial assertions regarding the Duchess of Sussex. Sam asserts that the royal is demanding, belittling, and controlling, and allegedly does not express gratitude to their father Thomas Markle for his financial assistance. Instead of expressing gratitude for the things she received from their father, Markle is alleged to have acted in a controlling manner. Despite the book's negative portrayal of Meghan and Prince Harry, Samantha claims that it was not written with the intention of attacking her sister or in-laws. It's important to remember that Samantha once made comments about her half-sister that made the news. She's spoken out in the media about her strained relationship with Meghan and made statements about the royal family that have generated controversy. However, it's unknown how much weight these most recent claims will carry in light of Samantha's previous actions. Despite this, it is abundantly clear that the Markle family has been the subject of some drama and controversy, and it appears that this most recent revelation will only serve to advance the story that is already taking place. Number 4, the codependent couple. Despite the royal family's take, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have attested to their seemingly fairy tale romance. In a 2018 interview with BBC, the couple sat down to talk about the origins of the relationship. However, thoughts about Harry and Meghan's possible codependent relationship has become a trending topic on Twitter, especially following the release of Harry and Meghan, their Netflix docuseries. One user tweeted, in part, "They have the most unhealthy codependent relationship I've ever seen." Another person wrote, "I suspect Harry has been literally transformed by what he believes is his intense love for Meghan," adding that he's completely codependent on her. So what will come of Harry and Meghan's future together? Even though we don't know the couple personally, do we think the relationship is based on codependency? Or is this just another case of people trying to determine their relationship with limited knowledge? Number 3, brainwashed prince. Prince Harry has been called an unintelligent man who has been brainwashed by his wife into a rift with the royal family. Royal expert Tom Bower made sensational comments against the Duke and Duchess of Sussex before the release of Prince Harry's bombshell memoir and the couple's Netflix docuseries. He said Harry is brainwashed would be the politest way of saying it, into going along with it. He thinks he has been badly treated, but there's no doubt they are a great threat to the royal family. Harry is a very complicated, depressed, unintelligent man, ouch, who is seeking a role and really has nobody on whom he could rely, which in the end is where Meghan stepped in. A needy man met a woman who helped him with his needs. The author also claimed that Prince Harry and Meghan were left angry as ever after allegedly being snubbed by the royals at Queen Elizabeth's funeral in September last year. On to number 2, playing victim. Prince Harry's newly formed and deeply damaging anti-royal beliefs are being peddled by Meghan Markle, according to some people, including royal author Tom Bower, who said this while talking to American journalist Megyn Kelly. He started by branding the American very clever and added, "Don't think for a moment that she's not convincing quite a lot of people that somehow she was thrown to the wolves." Of course, that's completely untrue. Right, because Bower would know more than Meghan, who is actually living through this. But anyway, in the first 3 episodes, Harry comes out and says there's the leaking and planning of stories, and is getting ready to say in the next 3 episodes that the palace and its staff courtiers, whatever, were planning negative stories on him and her. If we look objectively at the couple since breaking away from the royal family, who has gotten the better end of the deal? Meghan Markle is living in her home country, in LA, pitching Hollywood decision makers, voicing Disney Plus documentaries, and positioning herself as a woke cultural voice. Prince Harry has given his family the cold shoulder, cut ties with his grandmother, father, and brother, and he's reportedly been depressed and feeling down. The high point might have been when he was filmed reading Thomas the Tank Engine. It doesn't take a genius to figure out who was benefiting. The final straw was watching Prince Harry throw his grandmother and all she's accomplished for the Commonwealth under the bus just to provide Meghan Markle with yet another cause to pursue. And if that wasn't enough, he made a complete fool of himself by showing his lack of knowledge on the matter. Seems to me like the Meghan haters are making it seem like it's Meghan's world and we're all just living in it. I'm not defending anyone, but making claims about situations you aren't a part of is very much giving fan behavior. And finally, on to number 1, Princess Diana 2.0. Apparently, Meghan always wanted one thing in life, and that's to become a member of the British royal family. Now, she's never confirmed that, but her friends say that she's always had a fascination with the royals. According to some sources, this was all a part of Meghan's plan. She's wanted to be a princess since she was a teenager. Her old pal once said she was always fascinated by the royal family and wanted to be Princess Diana 2.0. She will play her role ably, but my advice to Harry is to tread cautiously. I'm not shocked at all. It's like she's been planning this her whole life. She gets exactly what she wants, and Harry has fallen for her play. Talk about an awful friend for outing Meghan like that though, right? Starting off with number 10, Charles and Camilla. Prince Charles's intimate talk is probably not everyone's cup of tea to this day, even though it may no longer be considered taboo. According to a 1993 article in the LA Times, a radio enthusiast accidentally picked up Charles and Camilla's private phone conversation in 1992, which then made its way into British tabloids. Now, this is all Charles saying this. Oh God, I'll just hide somewhere in your pants or something. It would be a lot simpler. In the tapes, Charles can be heard saying, when you grow up, what will you become? A pair of knickers? Cambridge responds, or shudder, a Tampax. It's all luck. I have no words. Most people don't think of romance when they hear about menstruation, and many Brits certainly felt the same way. Persuaded most of the nation that the heir to the throne, the would-be defender of the faith, was a lavatory-minded adulterer. Royal biographer Anthony Holden wrote in the Sydney Morning Herald, "The controversy, which was dubbed CAMILLA-gate due to its timing, appeared to be evidence of Charles's immorality. However, given that these tapes were released at the same time as those of Diana and James Gilbey, many people wondered if British internal intelligence was involved in any way. This theory was never proven to be true, but I'm interested in learning what you guys think. Do you think it was all a whole plan, or do you think it was just a coincidence?" On to number 9, Diana and James Gilbey. The rocky romance between Prince Charles and Princess Diana, Prince Harry's parents, was well known. The couple got married in July 29, 1981 in a lavish ceremony that was broadcast all over the world. However, their love story wasn't exactly a fairy tale. Diana openly acknowledged that Charles's infidelity with his now wife Camilla was a factor in her struggles with an eating disorder. However, Diana's relationship was not entirely rumor-free. Multiple media outlets reported that she was also involved in a scandal that the media dubbed Squidgygate in the early 1990s. Several phone calls between Diana and James Gilbey, her secret lover, are said to have been recorded by British intelligence. During these calls, Gilbey allegedly said, "I love you," and affectionately referred to Diana as Squidgy at least 53 times. The tapes were sold to The Sun and then published in the United States in 1992 by the National Enquirer. Because the royal family did not confirm who was actually on the calls, Buckingham Palace did not pursue the papers for the leak. The monarchy's statement that they weren't taking the tapes seriously was the subject of an episode of Frontline in 1997 titled "The Princess and the Press." In the same year as the leak, Diana and Charles divorced, and their divorce was finalized in 1996. Number 8, Diana and James Hewitt. Diana admitted to having an affair with British Army officer James Hewitt during her marriage to Prince Charles in a 1995 interview with BBC reporter Martin Bashir. Diana stated, "He was a great friend of mine during a very difficult, yet another difficult time, and he was always there to support me." The princess replied, "Yes, it did. Yes," when Bashir asked if the relationship had progressed beyond a close friendship. Diana, on the other hand, stated that she felt betrayed by Hewitt, who was heavily cited in an expose of her affairs. According to Hewitt's book Princess in Love, their romance began in 1986 when Diana was said to be estranged from her husband. He claimed that when he was sent to Germany in 1989 for duty, the relationship started to fade. Many people focused specifically on one of Hewitt's physical characteristics when these revelations became public: his dark hair. Even Hewitt himself has frequently refuted the claims that he was Harry's biological father. The interviewer on Australian Channel 7's Sunday Night asked, "Are you Harry's father?" earlier this year. Hewitt replied, "No, I am not," adding that the rumor sells papers and may have persisted for years. On to number 7, Prince Andrew and Ku Stark. When Harry's uncle Prince Andrew dated an American actress in the 1980s, he was in a similar predicament to his nephew. Her name was Ku Stark, and she became famous for her breakout role in the 1976 film Emily. She had an 18-month relationship with the second son of Queen Elizabeth. Majesty magazine editor-in-chief Ingrid Seward told Variety that the relationship received a lot of criticism because an actress was not thought to be the ideal woman for a prince to walk down the aisle with, especially one who had a history of making raunchy movies. According to Seward, in those days, a prince of the realm might have had an actress as a mistress, like his ancestors would have done, but never a wife. Seward said that the pressure from the media caused Andrew and Stark's romance to end, but the two are still said to be close friends today. Number 6, Captain Mark Phillips and Princess Anne. In her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips, Princess Anne, the sole daughter of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, experienced her fair share of heartbreak. They tied the knot in 1973, and in 1985, Phillips had a love child named Felicity with Heather Tonkin, a New Zealand art teacher. According to the Telegraph, a DNA test that was carried out as a result of a paternity suit filed in 1991 proved Felicity to be Phillips' daughter. However, the couple didn't just have a problem with the love child. It was widely noted that Anne and Phillips appeared to have two distinct lives throughout their marriage. They were called a loveless duo in a People story from 1989, and it was reported that the royal couple lived apart for almost 2 years before breaking up. In 1992, they filed for divorce, and that same year, Princess Anne got married to Timothy Lawrence, her current husband. Number 5, Sarah Ferguson and John Bryan. Although the separation of Diana and Charles in '92 captivated the majority of viewers, another member of the royal family received some negative media attention in August. When pictures of Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, leaked to the media, she was just getting over her split from Prince Andrew, Charles's brother. The images, which were published in the Daily Mirror, appeared to show American businessman John Bryan sucking on Sarah's toes while she went topless for a sunbathing session. In the court of public opinions and from the British royals, Fergie received a lot of criticism for the embarrassing photo scandal. 9 out of 10 respondents to a poll that was published in the Sunday Express on August 23, 92, stated that if Andrew went through with the divorce, Ferguson should lose her title. Richard Kay, a well-known royal writer for the Daily Mail, said he was there when Fergie and Bryan found out about the photos. Bryan said that Bryan just kissed Fergie's feet. Sure, Bryan, that's exactly what it looks like you're doing in the pictures. Number 4, Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson. King Edward VIII had made the proposal to Wallis Simpson, an American socialite, in 1936, just a few months into his reign. However, in contrast to Meghan Markle, Simpson's nationality did not cause a social uproar, because at the time it was forbidden for the king, who was also the head of the Church of England, to marry a woman who had previously wed and her husband was still alive. The proposal led to a constitutional crisis in the UK. At the time of the proposal, Simpson still had 2 active ex-husbands. If Harry and Meghan had been dating during those times, they would have faced similar challenges, as both of them are divorced. The 36-year-old actress got married to Trevor Engelson, a film producer, in 2011, but the couple divorced in 2013. According to LUK, Harry and Markle are free to marry at Westminster Abbey whenever they want, provided, of course, they receive the Queen's permission as a result of changes in a religious law in the Church of England. Sadly for Edward, he was not born during Harry's time, so he had to choose between love and the crown. After her second divorce was finalized, he ultimately decided to abdicate the throne and married Simpson in France in 1937. That sounds so poetic. You're leaving the throne for the love of your life? Wow, we need more people like that. On to number 3, Princess Margaret and Peter Townsend. Another royal who was criticized for her dating life was Princess Margaret, Queen Elizabeth's younger sister. The young princess had to ask her older sister for permission to marry a 16-year-old royal heir, Peter Townsend, around 1953. He had been married before, but after his first wife allegedly had an affair, he divorced her. Because of Townsend's divorce, the couple was denied the right to marry multiple times, and even Margaret's title and income were threatened. She ultimately chose not to pursue a romantic relationship with Townsend and went in a different direction than Edward VIII. In a public statement, she said, I would like it to be known that I have decided not to marry Group Captain Peter Townsend. I have always been aware that I could have entered into a civil marriage if I had not waived my rights to succession. However, due to my obligation to the Commonwealth and the Church's teaching that Christian marriage cannot be broken, I have decided to prioritize these factors. On to number 2, King Henry VIII and his many wives. When it came to multiple marriages, King Henry VIII, who ruled England from 1509 to 1547, could have given Elizabeth Taylor a run for her money. He was married 6 times and even had his first marriage to Catherine of Aragon annulled, which was a controversial move that the Pope at the time disapproved of. However, in the modern era, Henry's numerous wives were not the only thing that would have landed him in the tabloids. Additionally, many of the unusual health issues that many of the women faced attempting to conceive also contributed. In 1534, he miscarried Anne Boleyn, his second wife with whom he cheated on Catherine. Additionally, there's a rumor that she may have previously given birth to a few stillborn children. According to reports, she considered her inability to have a son a betrayal. Anne's problems did not end there though. She later passed away in 1536 after being accused of multiple acts of adultery. Henry proposed to Jane Seymour the day after Anne passed away. Wow. Henry, that's kind of a savage move. Henry had 4 more wives, including Catherine Howard, who was executed for adultery. Henry's life was always filled with conflict. And on to number 1, Princess Margaret and Anthony Armstrong Jones. If you have watched the first 2 seasons of Netflix's The Crown, you know that Princess Margaret, the younger sister of Queen Elizabeth, was a wild child when she was in her prime. When the princess was just 17 years old, she fell in love with Peter Townsend, a married man who worked for her father. The princess married an openly gay photographer named Anthony Armstrong Jones in 1960 after Parliament refused to allow the couple to wed. Even though they were married for 18 years, their union was not happy. In the end, they both had fun making fun of each other. It was the first divorce of a senior royal since 1901 when they got married in 1978. The princess almost lost everything, including her lifestyle that was paid for by the government. She received the moniker Royal Parasite. The royals are drama fans. Although Duchess Meghan Markle's accession to the royal family certainly sparked controversy, it is not the first time the royal family has been part of a scandal. I mean, clearly. Here's one more relationship scandal that we haven't gotten to yet, which had the fans of the royal family outraged. Back in 2019, word on the street was that Prince William, the upcoming king, cheated on his wife Kate Middleton. Rose Hanbury, a close friend of Middleton, is said to be the lady in between the couple. Obviously, the Duke is not the first royal to have an affair, if the rumors are true. King Charles's relationship with his current wife, Camilla, led to the breakdown of the marriage between the late Princess Diana and then Prince Charles. It is hard to keep up with this family, who is obsessed with maintaining a very prim and proper image. The scandal-ridden royal relationships are just one of the many interesting and juicy things the royals have been involved in.